May 27, 1942, a sunny morning in Nazi-occupied Prague. A black Mercedes convertible rolls through the streets, carrying one of Hitler's most ruthless commanders, a man so brutal, so merciless, that even hardened SS officers whispered his name with fear. Reinhard Heydrich, architect of the Holocaust, the butcher of Prague, believed himself untouchable. He rode without guards, without armored protection, convinced the terrorized Czech people would never dare strike back. He was wrong. In just moments, two brave resistance fighters would launch the most daring assassination attempt of World War II, an operation so bold it would shake the Nazi regime to its core and unleash a wave of vengeance unlike anything Europe had ever witnessed. If you want to discover how ordinary men brought down one of history's most evil figures, then smash that subscribe button right now and hit the notification bell, because this is Timeless World, where we uncover the shocking truths that changed our world forever. Drop a comment below telling us what historical event we should cover next. Your engagement keeps this channel alive. The monster they called Heydrich. Before we dive into the assassination itself, you need to understand exactly who Reinhard Heydrich was, because this wasn't just another Nazi officer. This was a man Hitler himself called the man with the iron heart. Heydrich commanded the Reich Security Main Office, making him the chief architect of Nazi terror across occupied Europe. He organized the Holocaust's administrative machinery, planned mass deportations, and coordinated the systematic murder of millions. When Heydrich arrived in Prague in September 1941 as acting Reich protector of Bohemia and Moravia, he immediately unleashed a reign of terror. His mission was simple and horrifying: crush Czech resistance, Germanize the population, and eliminate anyone who stood in his way. Within weeks, special courts sentenced 342 people to death. Czech leaders disappeared into concentration camps. Families vanished overnight. The message was clear: resist and die. The Czechs called him the Butcher of Prague, and for good reason. His cruelty exceeded even Nazi standards. But Heydrich made one fatal mistake. He grew arrogant. He believed his terror campaign had worked so completely that he could travel openly through Prague without military escort. That arrogance would cost him everything. Operation Anthropoid, the plan. While Heydrich terrorized Prague, the Czechoslovak government in exile in London was planning something unprecedented. Eduard Beneš, the exiled Czech president, personally authorized a mission that would send specially trained operatives back into occupied territory with one objective: kill Reinhard Heydrich. The British Special Operations Executive took charge of training. From thousands of exiled Czechoslovak soldiers based in Britain, they selected two men for this suicide mission: Josef Gabčík, a Slovak soldier, and Jan Kubiš, a Czech operative. Both men knew this operation would likely be their death sentence, but they volunteered anyway. For months, they trained at secret commando centers in Scotland, learning explosives handling, assassination techniques, and survival tactics. The training was brutal, designed to prepare them for the impossible task ahead. On December 28, 1941, Gabčík and Kubiš were flown out of Britain and parachuted into the frozen Czech countryside just outside Prague. The moment they landed, their nightmare began. They contacted underground resistance cells, moved between safe houses, and slowly gathered intelligence on Heydrich's movements. But when Czech resistance leaders learned the true nature of their mission, they begged the government in exile to cancel the operation. They knew what was coming. Nazi reprisals would be catastrophic. President Beneš refused. The assassination would proceed. The ambush, May 27, 1942. At approximately 10:30 in the morning, Heydrich's dark green Mercedes 320 convertible departed his residence at Penensky Przežany, heading toward Prague Castle. Only his driver, SS Oberscharführer Janusz Klein, accompanied him. No bodyguards, no escort vehicles, no armor. Heydrich sat in a front passenger seat, utterly exposed. Gabčík and Kubiš had chosen their ambush site carefully, a sharp hairpin turn on a street in the Holešovy district, where the car would have to slow down. A third operative, Josef Walčík, positioned him up the road to signal when Heydrich's vehicle approached. The signal came. The Mercedes rounded the corner, slowing for the turn. Gabčík stepped into the street, raised his Sten submachine gun, aimed directly at Heydrich, and squeezed the trigger. Nothing happened. The gun jammed. For a split second, time froze. Heydrich spotted the attacker and ordered his driver to stop. Instead of fleeing, Heydrich stood up in the open car and drew his pistol, his arrogance and warrior instinct overriding survival logic. That's when Jan Kubisch made his move. He hurled a modified anti-tank grenade at the slowing vehicle. The explosion was devastating. Shrapnel tore through the car's bodywork. The blast threw Kubisch backward, embedding fragments in his face. Smoke and debris filled the street. When the smoke cleared, something shocking emerged. Heydrich was still standing. Wounded, enraged, but alive, he stumbled from the wrecked Mercedes and actually tried to pursue the attackers on foot. He fired shots at the fleeing operatives before collapsing from his injuries. The assassins scattered into Prague streets, disappearing into the resistance network. Behind them, Heydrich lay on the pavement, his body filled with shrapnel, horsehair from the car's upholstery, and fragments of metal. He was rushed to Bulovka Hospital, where Nazi doctors began desperate efforts to save the life of one of Hitler's most powerful lieutenants. The agonizing death. Here is where the story takes a truly disturbing turn. Initial surgery seemed successful. Doctors removed visible shrapnel and stitched Heydrich's wounds. For several days, he appeared to be recovering. His fever dropped. Drainage from his wounds decreased. Nazi propaganda even prepared to announce his miraculous survival. Then, on June 3rd, while sitting up eating lunch, Heydrich suddenly went into shock. Within hours, he slipped into a deep coma. The infection ravaging his body had reached a critical point: septicemia, blood poisoning caused by virulent bacteria that invaded his bloodstream through the shrapnel wounds. On June 4th, 1942, at approximately 4:30 in the morning, Reinhard Heydrich died. He was 38 years old. A police official who witnessed his final moments described Heydrich's death expression as showing an uncanny spirituality and entirely perverted beauty, like a Renaissance cardinal, a chilling testament to the monster he had been. The autopsy revealed the cause: septicemia triggered by bacteria that poisoned his liver, kidneys, and heart muscle. Despite blood transfusions, anti-gangrene injections, and anti-tetanus treatments, the infection proved unstoppable. The Butcher of Prague had died a slow, agonizing death from wounds inflicted by two brave Czech soldiers. Hell unleashed, the reprisals. Hitler's rage knew no bounds. The Führer demanded vengeance on a scale that would terrorize all of occupied Europe. The Nazi leadership quickly identified a small Czech village called Lidice, barely connected to the assassination by the flimsiest evidence found in a letter during the investigation. On June 9th, the day of Heydrich's state funeral in Berlin, Hitler personally ordered the complete annihilation of Lidice. The next day, June 10, 1942, German forces surrounded the village. What happened next was systematic genocide. Every man and boy over age 15, 192 in total, was lined up and executed by firing squad. The 53 women were deported to Ravensbrück concentration camp. The 88 children were separated. Those deemed suitable for Germanization were sent to Nazi families, while the rest were murdered in gas vans at Chelno extermination camp. Then the Germans literally erased Lidice from existence. They burned every building to the ground, dynamited the ruins, plowed the earth flat, and redirected a stream to cover the site. They even destroyed the cemetery and exhumed the dead. The Nazis wanted to eliminate any trace that Lidice had ever existed. 2 weeks later, another village called Ležáky suffered the same fate when Gestapo agents found a radio transmitter there. All 33 adults were shot, and 11 of 13 children were gassed at Chelno. Across the Protectorate, the SS executed hundreds more Czechs in random terror raids. Meanwhile, Gabčík and Kubisch and 5 other resistance fighters took refuge in the Orthodox Cathedral of St. Cyril and Methodist in central Prague. For weeks, they remained hidden in the church's crypt while the Gestapo tore Prague apart searching for them. Then came the betrayal. Karel Čurda, a member of another parachute team, broke under pressure and turned himself into the Gestapo in exchange for 1 million Reichsmarks, about 10 million kronen. He revealed the location of the assassins. On June 18, 1942, over 700 SS and Gestapo forces surrounded the cathedral. What followed was a 2-hour gun battle that echoed through Prague's streets. The Nazis fired thousands of rounds into the church, threw tear gas into the crypt, and even called in fire brigade trucks to try flooding the resistance fighters out. Adolfo Palka and Josef Bublik fought from the prayer loft until they were killed. Jan Kubisch, wounded in the initial ambush and weakened by infection, was found unconscious and died shortly after. In the flooded crypt below, Gabčík Valčík, Jaroslav Schwartz, and Jan Huby fought until their ammunition ran out. Rather than surrender to Nazi torture, they used their last bullets on themselves. The Orthodox bishop, Gorazd, who had sheltered the fighters, took full responsibility for the actions to protect his congregation. He wrote letters to Nazi authorities confessing everything.
On September 4, 1942, the Gestapo took Bishop Gorazd, the church's priests, and senior lay leaders to Kobylisy shooting range and executed them all. The Eastern Orthodox Church later glorified Bishop Gorazd as a martyr for his sacrifice. The legacy of Operation Anthropoid. Operation Anthropoid stands as the only successful government-organized assassination of a top-ranking Nazi official during World War II. The mission accomplished its primary objective. Reinhard Heydrich, one of the Holocaust's principal architects, was eliminated. His death proved that even Hitler's inner circle was vulnerable. But the cost was staggering. Conservative estimates put Czech civilian deaths from the reprisals at over 1,300 people. Entire families were wiped out. Villages disappeared from maps. The terror was designed to break Czech resistance forever. Yet paradoxically, Operation Anthropoid had the opposite effect. The assassination energized resistance movements across occupied Europe. It demonstrated that the Nazis could be struck at the highest levels. When news of Heydrich's death spread through concentration camps and ghettos, prisoners whispered stories of the two brave soldiers who had brought down the Butcher of Prague. The operation became a symbol of defiance against impossible odds. The sacrifice of Gobčík, Kubiš, and their fellow resistance fighters was not in vain. Their courage inspired countless others to resist. Their willingness to give everything, knowing full well the terrible price civilians would pay, remains one of the most controversial yet powerful acts of the entire war. Today, memorials stand at the ambush site and at the Cathedral of St. Cyril and Methodius, where you can still see bullet holes from that final battle. Ledisi was rebuilt after the war as a living memorial to Nazi barbarity, and the names Josef Gobčík and Jan Kubiš are honored as national heroes in both Slovakia and the Czech Republic. Operation Anthropoid proved that ordinary people can strike back against evil, even when victory seems impossible. It showed that courage exists even in history's darkest hours, and it demonstrated that tyrants, no matter how powerful, are never truly safe from justice. If this story of courage against impossible odds moved you, then show your support right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to Timeless World, and turn on notifications so you never miss another incredible story from history. Share this video with someone who needs to hear about real heroism, and drop a comment telling us what other untold stories from World War II should we uncover next. Your engagement directly supports this channel and helps us bring you more forgotten chapters of history. Thank you for watching Timeless World, where the past comes alive.